this is the fuel supply system of the SI engine. It consists of the fuel tank. You can see here the fuel tank, then sediment ball. This is the sediment ball below the fuel tank. What is the function of the sediment ball? Fuel tank, it stores the fuel. Sediment ball, it remove the coarse material from the fuel. Then fuel lift pump. Here you can see that uh, uh, fuel tank is above the engine, so the fuel flows under the action of gravity, isn't it? This is the intake manifold, engines, governors, and carburetor. Okay, that fuel lift pump, it supply the fuel from engine fuel tank to the engines. Then carburetor, it the main function of the carburetor is prepare the air and fuel mixture to correct amount. So you can see here the one is the air intake, your air inlet, it that clean the air in air cleaner and it supplied to the carburetor. Then one connection is given to the fuel tank, and that fuel come to the carburetor, and it prepare the air and correct amount of the air and fuel mixture, and it is supplied to the intake manifold. Okay, so in some spark ignition engine, the fuel tank is placed above the level of the carburetor. So the fuel flows from the fuel tank to the carburetor under the action of gravity. And there are one or two filters between the fuel tank and the carburetor. And the transparent sediment ball is also provided to hold the dust and dirt fuel. So you can see here the simple carburetor with the gravity feed and float chambers. You can see the float needle. This is the float. Okay. This is a valve adjustable needle and spray nozzle and choke here. If the tank is below the level of the carburetor, the lift fuel pump is provided in between the tank and the carburetor for forcing the fuel from tank to the carburetor of the engine. And the fuel comes from the fuel tank to the sediment ball and then to the lift pump. And through there, the fuel goes to the carburetor through the suitable pipe. And from the carburetor, the fuel goes to the engine cylinder through the inlet manifold of the engine. So, what is the carburetor? It is the preparation of the an air and fuel mixture away from the engine cylinder, isn't it? It's called as the carburation, and the device in the which this process takes place is called as the carburetor. So principle of the carburetor, the basic principle of all the carburetor design is that when air flows over the end of the narrow tube or jet containing a liquid, some liquid is drawn into the air stream, and the quantity of the liquid drawn into the air stream increases as the speed of the air flows over the jet rises, and also quantity is greater if the jet is made larger. So what are the functions of the carburetor? To mix the air and fuel thoroughly, to atomize the fuel, to regulate the air and fuel ratio at different speed and load, and to supply the correct amount of the mixture at different speed and loads. So fuel supply system of the CI engines, the main components of the fuel system in a diesel engines are fuel filter, then fuel lift pump, fuel injection pump, atomizer, and high pressure pipe. So you can see in a general layout of the fuel supply system of the diesel engine. This is the fuel tank, then sediment vault is provided, then fuel lift pump is provided, then later the fuel filter is provided, then fuel injection pump. That fuel injection pump firstly provide the fuel to the injector, that it inject the fuel into the combustion chamber. You can see here the air cleaners. You know that the air is in a diesel engine. First, air is taken inside the engine cylinder, then it is compressed, and at the end of the compression stroke, fuel is injected into the combustion chamber. So this is the fuel supply system of the general layout of the diesel engine. So in a diesel engine, the diesel fuel is um, given to the sediment ball first. The sediment ball remove the coarse material from the diesel, and it is given to the fuel lip pump. That fuel lip pump forcefully take the diesel from the fuel tank, and it is delivered to the fuel injection pump. But in between the fuel injection pump and fuel lip pump, there is provided a fuel filter. It is a primary or secondary filter. That primary and secondary filter remove the coarse and very fine material or parts from the diesel. So clean diesel is provided to the fuel injection pump, and that fuel injection pump it forcefully give the supply to the injector, fuel supply to the injector. That injector inject the fuel under 200 kg per centimeter square pressure. uh, at that pressure it provide the or inject the fuel into the combustion chamber. So you can see here the fuel filter, fuel lip pump, fuel injection pump, atomizer, and high pressure pipe. So due to the near about the 200 kg per centimeter square pressure is created in the fuel injection pump to the injector, so there is provided the high pressure pipe. Now during the engine operation, you can the fuel fuel system of the diesel engine. There is inlet, then exhaust manifold. You can see here. And this is the governor is also provided to varying the speed and to control the fuel supply. Then fuel injection pump, fuel lip pump, and diesel tank. Now during this engine operation, the fuel is supplied by the gravity from the fuel tank to the primary filter, where coarse impurities are removed. Now from the primary filter, the fuel is drawn by fuel transfer pump and is delivered to the fuel injection pump through second fuel filter. And the fuel injection pump supplies the fuel under high pressure to the injector through high pressure pipes. And the injection atomize the fuel and inject into the combustion chamber of the engine, and the fuel injection pump is fed with the fuel in abundance, and the excess fuel is bypassed to the intake side of the fuel transfer pump through a relief valve. So two conditions are essential for efficient operation of the fuel system. First, the fuel oil should be clean or free from water, suspended dirt, sand, and other foreign matter. Second, you can see a second, the fuel injection pump should create the proper pressure so that the diesel fuel may be so that the fuel injection pump. One minute. Okay. The fuel injection pump should create the proper pressure so that diesel fuel may be perfectly atomized by injectors and be injected in a proper time and in proper quantity in the engine cylinder. And the fuel should be filtered before filling the tank also. And if this precaution are followed, the 19% of the diesel engine troubles are eliminated. So fuel lead pump, dear student, it is a pump which transfer the fuel from line to the fuel injection pump, and it is mounted on the body of fuel injection pump, and it delivers the adequate amount of the fuel to the injection pump. And that pump is consist of the body, piston, inlet valve, pressure valve, and the valves are tightly pressed against their seat by spring. The piston is free to slide in the bore. The fuel contained in the space below the piston to force to flow through the secondary fuel filter to the injection pump. And at the same time, downward movement of the piston creates a depression in the space above the piston, which causes the fuel to be drawn in the transfer pump from fuel tank through the inlet valve and primary filter. So now we take some problems on fuel supply system. So internal combustion pump or consumer high-speed diesel oil at the rate of 0.5 kg per hour. So calculate the power in terms of the kilowatt. So now heat value is calculated through this formula, that is quantity into calorific value. So quantity of the oil is given, that is 0.5 kg per hour. So zero point 0.5 into, the calorific value of that oil is 10,550 kilocalories per hour. So now you will get the heat value. So power is equal to heat value into, so power is equal to that calorific value that is converted into joules per second. You can see here the 1 calorie is a 4.2 joules and 1 watt divided by 60 by 60. So we will get the that 6.15 k joules per second, and it is 6.15 kilowatt. So another problem is a four-stroke diesel engine operating at 800 rpm user 0.11 kg of the fuel in 4 minutes while developing at a torque of 7.65 kg meter. Then calculate the brake specific fuel consumption, that is HP is equal to, and this is formula 2 pi nt upon 4500, and 2 pi n is the speed is given, it is 800 rpm here, you can see here, and torque is given, that is the 7.65 kg per meter, and 4500 is a constant. So we will get the calculation, at the end we get the 8.55 HP. So brake specific fuel consumption is equal to fuel consumed per HP per hour. So here the fuel consumed is 0.11 kg of the fuel in 4 minutes. So 0.11 by 4 into 60 means it is converted into the hour, divided by HP means 8.55. So we will get the 0.193 kg per HP per hour. Okay. Okay.